Hello, I'm Nefertiti Long, Board Chair at IECF. Thank you for taking the time to go through the important process of board orientation. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the world of philanthropy and to thank you for your commitment to our vision of making the Inland Empire a vibrant, generous, and just region with unlimited opportunities for all. As IECF board members, you will play an essential role in leading the foundation into the future, raising and stewarding funds, dispensing the foundation's fiduciary obligations of assets, and ensure operational and financial controls are in place. Devoting a minimum of 5 hours monthly, including attendance at board meetings, our board retreat, and serve on at least one committee. Supporting board-based philanthropy efforts to benefit our region, and guiding our advocacy and policy work. This is hard work. It's important work, and it's rewarding work. In our video series, you'll hear from staff members who are in the backbone of the foundation. Each department will share insight into their role in our work, and you'll gain a greater understanding of how this small but mighty team generates awareness, raises critical funds, creates impact in the most meaningful ways, moves the needle on policy for our region, and stewards our finances for sustainability. And we'll talk about many different ways you can show up as a board member. For example, are you a doer? Perhaps you'll want to attend special events, pitch a story to the media, or chair a fund that supports a cause nearest to your heart, like I chair the Women's Giving Fund. There are also several committees that you can join. We invite you to consider getting involved on the Grants Committee, Audit Committee, Charitable Giving and Marketing Committee, or Policy and Advocacy Committee, for example. Are you a door opener? You may want to connect our charitable giving team to donors and prospects or help secure corporate sponsorships. Or maybe you're a donor and you'd enjoy hosting a fundraiser at your home, making a planned gift, or purchasing a table at a special event. We have an amazing board, and I'm excited to welcome you to the table. I'm confident that you will be inspired by the work that we do at IECF, and I look forward to our work ahead in serving the people of our community. Reach out to me at any time with questions or suggestions. Now let's get to the good part. Here's our CEO, Michelle Decker, with her unique insight into the foundation, its 80-year history, and its bright, bold future.
Hello, I'm Michelle Decker, IECF's President and CEO since spring 2018. Welcome to our Board of Directors, and thank you for your service. As a board member, you'll help us grow and steward our philanthropic resources, you'll be our ambassador in our communities, and we will benefit from your expertise on the board and on our committees. Together, our board serves as the compass for our future. You've joined a strong and growing organization with over 80 years of service in the Inland Empire. Our deep roots give us an in-depth understanding of the IE and its nonprofit sector, and extensive experience with the donors who help us make a meaningful difference. I supervise all of our senior vice presidents and our Office of Policy Engagement, as well as my executive assistant. I am responsible for strategy, board, and fiscal management and the successful implementation of our programs and policies. The board sets the policy and direction, the staff implements those policies and ideas. I'm going to share the foundation's history and some of the characteristics of the Community Foundation. Our story starts with Charles Browse, a Riverside civic leader and banker who wanted to give back to the community that had enabled his success. In 1941, he established the Riverside Foundation to benefit students at Riverside City College. In the years that followed, the foundation broadened its purpose from scholarship distribution to include health and human services, civic benefit programs, arts, and more. With that expanded portfolio, our name was changed to the Riverside Community Foundation in 1979. When we were invited to operate in San Bernardino County, we became known as the Community Foundation, serving the counties of Riverside and San Bernardino. And finally, in 2019, we rebranded as the Inland Empire Community Foundation. Since its inception, the foundation has distributed more than $127 million in grants and scholarships, and today we manage assets of nearly $130 million from over 400 funds. But what does a community foundation actually do? Each community foundation is unique to the place where it works. All community foundations are geographically bounded. The largest cover whole states. All community foundations work with donors and raise funds that can be used now, non-endowed, or later, endowed. All community foundations steward those dollars by investing them and protecting their principal balances, and all of us make grants and scholarships available. But IECF also does two additional things. Besides making grants, we help build and sustain the tables and coalitions that make it possible for us to solve bigger problems. We call that providing community leadership, a term of art in community philanthropy that is probably our biggest superpower. For instance, in 2019, we became the host of Inland Economic Growth and Opportunity, or IEGO, to help build a better economy with higher paying jobs for workers and students. In 2020, we helped establish the IE Children's Cabinet to advocate for resources for children and families. And in 2022, our advocacy helped create the Riverside County Nonprofit Table that garnered $16 million of ARPA funds for nonprofits. The second thing we do, like some but not all community foundations, is policy and advocacy. In 2020, with funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we hired our first director of policy and governmental affairs. We kicked off a policy summit and partnered with our board's policy committee to develop our policy agenda. The Office of Policy and Engagement collaborates with local, state, and federal policymakers to advocate for more dollars and policies that close equity gaps. We also help other nonprofits get involved in that process and engage with leaders and pursue government funding. In 2020, we produced a policy scan that showed 5 priority issues: housing, health, inclusive economic development, educational equity, and climate and environment. Those 5 categories of work are shaping our long-term strategic direction. I also participate in many boards and advisory groups, including being a board member of the League of California Community Foundations, that's our state trade association, and a member of the California Philanthropy and Equity Roundtable alongside California's major philanthropic leaders. So IECF is using all of the tools available to it to make the IE a better place. A lot has changed since 1941 when we got started. While IECF's principles have always been grounded in fairness and inclusion, people have not benefited equally, and wealth divides continue to increase across different groups and populations, especially for Black and Brown families and single working mothers. In 2020, our board of directors adopted equity, racial, gender, and economic as the lens by which we will develop programs, partnerships, and grant making. For us, equity means looking at who is most affected by the issue and letting data and the lived experiences of our communities and nonprofit partners guide our actions. As a region of almost 70% people of color, with a per capita income of just over $45,000 and 1 million immigrants, closing equity gaps is imperative. Here are some examples of how being open to understanding and supporting equity has played out at IECF. We host the Black Equity Fund of the IE Black Equity Initiative, which is providing hundreds of thousands of dollars to Black-led organizations in the IE and working on important issues like school-to-prison reform, restorative justice, youth mentoring, and housing. We used a data report called Aquí Estamos to focus the New Cielo Fund, one of our signature funds, on the issues that are most critical for Latinos in the IE. We prioritized the lowest income communities in 2022 when we were awarded over $1.1 million for expanded learning to students in San Bernardino County. And we reframed our Community Impact Fund, our only unrestricted grant making from IECF resources, to support the diversity, equity, and inclusion journeys of IE nonprofits. Going forward, our North Star is building a culture of philanthropy in the IE. This means working with our nonprofits and stakeholders to learn about the most important issues in the region and the solutions available. It means talking with our donors about what our groups are saying is really needed and connecting what we know to public resources and policies that can help us make changes at scale. In 2022, our 80th anniversary celebration was the catalyst for 8 signature funds that focus on developing new resources for the IE. With the passion of board members, those funds have shown people inside and outside of the Inland Empire that there are new opportunities for giving that we can focus on and progressive change that puts resident voice at the center. Our next step is a 10-year planning process focused on some big areas of need for the IE, the categories of work that emerged from our policy scan in 2020. This process, again, centers our nonprofits to help share the important strategies for moving housing, for instance, and the resources needed to bring the solutions to scale. Part of the process will grow the partnerships and align us to steward those changes for years to come. At the heart of this plan is an idea called belonging and civic muscle. Do people feel like they belong, and do they feel like they can change the things that aren't working for their families? Stay tuned for more on this exciting long-term planning process. As we work toward our vision of creating a vibrant, generous, and just region with unlimited opportunities, we recognize that we're in a long-haul effort to develop the resources needed for our communities. I'm grateful for your commitment to our work and for the insight you'll bring to IECF to make that happen. As your CEO, my door is always open and my cell phone is always on. What you think about IECF and our work and the region is incredibly important to me and your board colleagues. Thank you for your time, talent, and treasure, and I look forward to making your board service a wonderful experience for you.